On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Oh, wonderful news has come out. Wonderful news has come out indeed. I'm being truthful. There's actually some wonderful news. Got some weird news. Got some interesting Epstein Trump news. You probably have heard it already. Of course, we'll get to that point. If you haven't heard it, surprise, surprise. But again, I don't think it's anything to be worried about. This was expected. It's kind of what I've called out. We've talked about. It was going to happen. So here we are. Not a big deal. I want to start. Someone shared this video with me, and I thought it was hilarious. One, because, well, my name's Dan. And apparently we're starting a new group. And I got really excited. I'm like, ooh, the Dan group. It's going to be starting. You watch.
I'm creating an Only Dan's, where Dans around the world can come together to complain about being called Danny Boy, Dan the Man, and Daniel's Son our entire lives. Our first meeting, we're going to talk about why our parents named us Dan and put so much pressure on us to always be the man. Danny Boy was rough because that started people singing in front of us, and we had to stand there awkwardly and watch and listen to them sing off-key. Which brings us to the worst for me, Daniel's Son, which is why I was always Team Johnny when I watched The Karate Kid. Daniel won on an illegal kick, by the way. And it won't be limited to those three. We could also talk about Lieutenant Dan, Dano, and no, it will not be booking anyone, and any other disparaging Dan variations you can think of. There's Dan the Man with the master plan. For some reason, people used to say Dan the Man with no plan when they were talking to me. And it's not going to be limited to just men. Danielles are more than welcome. So tag and send this to a Dan in your life. And tell them the meetings are going to start soon. Us Dans just have to get a master plan together.
Yeah, we seriously do. It's time. It's time to get that master plan. I used to drive a tan van, which actually made it kind of fun too. So my nickname got stretched a little, but whatever. The case is what the case is. Donald Trump truthed this out. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. He even has less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. I don't know if you guys had heard, but Colbert got fired. CBS laid him off. And what's funnier is Jimmy Kimmel then posted this. Love you, Steven. F you all, your Sheldon's CBS. Jimmy Kimmel probably is getting fired next and probably knows it, and it just maybe hasn't been announced yet because he hasn't done his last show yet, possibly. Sounds like he's well aware that he's following in Colbert's footsteps. Good stuff. Federal court upholds ban on critical race theory in schools. State of Arkansas, or Arkansas as I prefer to call it, it successfully defended its ban on critical race theory in schools before the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. On Wednesday, a 3-judge panel issued a ruling against a legal challenge brought by a group of students who contend the state ban violates their First Amendment rights. Quote, since the free speech clause does not give the students the right to compel the government to say something it does not wish to, they cannot show a likelihood of success, the 8th Circuit ruled. Kind of an interesting approach on that. So needless to say, yeah, and it's weird that students brought this. We want to be able to taught. We want to be taught critical race theory. And school system's like, no, I don't care if it's kids or not. No, we don't feel like teaching it, and you can't make us say something we don't want to say. So there you go. That is being upheld. That's probably going to have some repercussions in other places. A couple weird things happening here in California. A few weird things, frankly. We'll get to the third one a little bit later. That's more of a fun thing for Trump, I think. But 3 dead after an explosion at a U.S. Sheriff Training Center. Apparently they were handling some ordnance and, essentially. 3 people been toasted, and very sad. I'm not trying to play it down or anything, but yeah, Los Angeles County Sheriff, very sad. FBI is investigating. I'm sure they're trying to get to the bottom of it all. Surrogacy scandal deepens as 6 women now claim they carried babies for a California couple caught with 21 children. Now, at first, I thought they were actually trafficking. Come to find out, they weren't actually trafficking. This Chinese couple, apparently, well, you could say they love children. Here they are. You could say they love children. Apparently, they think 2 of them belong to, I believe this is the woman. 2 of them supposedly belong to her originally. And then the 19 others were surrogates. These dudes were going through the surrogate agency. 6 different women currently making babies for this couple. This couple had 21 children in their house. I think a few of them were somehow had lived down the street or something strange. But they weren't trafficking them, which I expected. And they just said something to the effect like they really liked having children, but they were very strict. They abused them. They had a nanny that abused the hell out of them. So I don't know if they were just trying to get genetic matches. That was kind of my thought, is they were holding a genetic pool, or maybe they were trying to get children that could genetically support saving the life of the mom, or who knows. I don't know. Something doesn't feel right about this, but 21 kids. Yikes. And kind of goes to show that these surrogate lawyers and groups and stuff aren't necessarily looking into what's happening with the children once they've been surrogated and handed back, right? I don't know if I can if I can make a verb out of surrogate like I did, but you've been surrogated. Needless to say. Yeah, this is kind of just a weird story. So, yeah, that would start there. All right, bye-bye, CCP. Got some good stuff going on here. House Committee leader urged FBI to halt certifying Chinese biometric devices. Currently, it seems that the FBI currently has 32 Chinese companies. Oh, sorry. Is that... Currently, the FBI lists... Yeah, okay, the lawmakers highlighted. Division was added among 32 companies. Yeah, so I guess it is that. There's like 32 Chinese companies that are currently on the agency's certified product list that shouldn't be. And so they're like, dude, you guys got to look into this. We shouldn't be using devices that are made by the Chinese Communist Party that we use in our day-to-day functions, in our monitoring of our own bodies, all these things. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. Hopefully they can get rid of that. We are not for sale. Governor blocks Chinese-owned company from buying land in Utah. So, again, we're making steps in the right direction. I think we actually have another story that kind of furthers that a hair further. U.S. to build fast boat base in the Philippines. This is expected to be finished in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026, which if they're on the same fiscal year as us, that's like 9 months from now it should be finished. That's impressive. They're going to start building these fast boats. I think because of reefs and stuff, they've got a lower hull depth, if you will, and so they're kind of quicker and able to get in and out of some of these places where they are. The Philippines are trying to take ownership of some of these islands that the Chinese keep trying to spread into, and obviously the United States is very much trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we are helping out the Philippines, and that will be a good thing. This might be the one that, yes, this is one of the things. Tom Cotton posted this. He said, in light of recent concerning reports about Microsoft using engineers in China to maintain DoD systems, I've asked at SecDef to look into the matter. We must guard against all threats within our military supply chain. So true. We were talking about it yesterday or the day before. Pete Hegseth responded, spot on, Senator, agree fully. Our team is fully looking into this ASAP. Foreign engineers from any country, including, of course, China, should never be allowed to maintain or access DoD systems. Yeah, period. This was a big deal, and this was the one that I kind of was alluding to. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said it has fired 70 foreign contract researchers after a national security review intended to secure the U.S. food supply from adversaries, including China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Quote, USDA has completed a thorough review of individuals authorized to work on contracts with the department and identified approximately 70 individuals from countries of concern, a spokesperson said. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins on July 8th had announced a farm security plan that included efforts to bar purchases of U.S. farmland by nationals of the 4 countries and to terminate any existing research agreements with them. Rollins said the moves were necessary to secure the U.S. food supply, as well as security next to the bases, too. It's where a lot of this land was being bought up as well, for convenience sake, which I'm sure if you think about drone launching and stuff like that, those are good places to cause severe problems. I want to remind you guys of a company called The Root Brands, R-O-O-T, Root. TheRootBrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Just amazing products. Again, I really like these products that are health-oriented, and that they cover really well, actually, and I think their prices are significant. One, this clean slate's a big deal. This one actually helps. They put like 5 drops on your tongue twice a day. It's a liquid. It removes a lot of the heavy metals. It removes a lot of the impurities that are inside our bodies right now, and it does an amazing job. I liken it to, like, when I was using it, I noticed how it smelled like I either ate a lot of vitamins, or even another way put, like I ate asparagus, kind of smelled like that when I pee, which was a lot of this stuff leaving my body. Clean Slate worked amazingly well. Zero One's another product that I love. In fact, it's going to sound kind of weird, but I'm just overly honest. It's a fault. I was hanging out with some friends. We were drinking. And I'm like, I'll take one of these Zero Ones before I go down there, just get a little extra energy. It kind of was late in the day, and I'd been working all day, and I was like, I was ready to have a little more pep to my step. Dude, I had a buddy that was just like, man, you are on it. And it was. Like, I was just kind of funny. People would say something, and I was very quick to respond, and I had been drinking. So he was a little surprised at how quickly I was able to be like that. And that's just because I was zeroed in. But they're awesome. There's a little bit of caffeine, but it's got other stuff in it too that really, really just helps me focus, especially when I'm sitting down and having to look at hundreds of pages of websites, or at least dozens and dozens. I go well over 100. I don't know. Lots of sites, right? Powerful. As well, Restore's another really good one. It supports bone health, supports healthy gut biome, if you will, healthy blood pressure, and antioxidants and anti-inflammatory benefits. It's just really good, like after workouts and stuff. It's actually delicious. Tastes like a orange otter pop, I think it was. Really yummy. Let's see, Crush. We got a few things actually that works really well if you do blended stuff every day, and it's just because it's powders, and that's how they sell it to you. Relive Greens has like everything under the sun that you could possibly want as far as health when it comes to vegetables and fruits. Obviously crushed up into a powder. Incredible nutrients in just, a small scoop. Obviously, it will turn your drink green, so as long as you're okay with that. Giving Back My Youth is another powder that I highly recommend to get into your supplement, your regimen. With this other stuff is fine. But it's got collagen, which is fantastic, and it's also got colostrum. Colostrum is that like first bit of milk that comes out of the animal when they first start nursing, and it's very nutrient rich, that first bit. So that's in there as well. So it's just like super concentrated with just all the healthiest benefits of colostrum and collagen. And it's really awesome. And I think Crush is the other one that's got the amino acids in it. Phew, man. If you're working out, these three right here should be on your list. They'll last you for friggin' ever. Well over a month. I'd say probably 2 months. It's quite a bit of powder, quite a good sized bottle. And again, you're using reasonably small scoop. You should definitely check those out. You want to go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. That's therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Sculpt is what I'm using right now, and it's actually helps with appetite suppressant, helps with the way your body processes sugars and just healthy glucose levels, basically, and it helps break down fatty acids. So it kind of helps us sort of burn off some of that extra fat instead of, especially if you're doing anything like ketosis at all in the morning, that actually helps with that. The clean spirits is surprisingly cool. Like if you do drink and you drink maybe too much one night and you're hurting the next morning, this is definitely what you want. Good morning minerals. This will flip your day around. It's almost as good as taking another drink, which oftentimes is not the best answer to that problem in the morning. That said, yeah, it's very, very powerful products. And again, their skin products are awesome. Peptide cleanser, they've got a peptide serum. They've also got this peptide moisturizer. Again, just powerful products. They work really, really well. The moisturizer I've used, it actually, I have it out on the counter. I don't have like a night ritual. I'm proud of myself if I brush my teeth at night. I do in the morning every day, but sometimes nighttime, whatever. I sleep alone. It's not like I got to kiss anyone. So yeah, we got a lot going on here, folks. And again, just far too honest. Check out the products. Just go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. therootbrands/Dan Radio Style. And it should fill in your sponsor code for you. That would be me. If for some reason you end up at the Root Brands and you try to buy something and that sponsor code's not filled out, just put Dan Radio Style, one word, and that will take care of business. But yes, thank you. Great products. You guys are going to love it. A lot of people talking about this Mamdani video where he's talking about the abolition of other people's property.
My platform is that every single person should have housing. And I think faced with these two options, the system has hundreds of thousands of people unhoused, right? For what? And if there was any system that could guarantee each person housing, whether you call it the abolition of private property or you call it, just a statewide housing guarantee, it is preferable to what is going on right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that people try and play like gotcha games about these kinds of things. And it's like, look, I care more about whether somebody has a home.
The problem is with homelessness, first off, is, and I've talked about this a lot, and we're going to use sort of numbers they're close enough for all intents and purposes. But homelessness is not a simple problem. So basically, a third of all homeless people are people that are mentally disabled, right? So you don't put those people into someone's home, and you even put them inside their own home, they very well could burn down the residence and kill everybody else that you're trying to save, right? So that's sort of a different problem. You've got a bunch of people that are on the street, probably roughly a third, that are drug users and refuse to clean up and don't necessarily want to. Like living on the street is kind of what they've gotten used to. If you force them into somebody else's home and or give them something, they could either A, steal all the stuff, B, sell it off so they can get more drugs. They could also cause fires, fall asleep with cigarettes going, number of things, right? These are just people that aren't necessarily safe for indoors. And then about a third of them are people that literally want help, need help, and want to get back on their feet and want to start working again. Just went through some sort of thing that happened in their life. His idea of taking property from others, which is what I would assume, or he would even go so far as to say, you've got a 2-bedroom, you're not using the other bedroom, we're going to go ahead and add a homeless person in your house. So we're going to affect your security, which is illegal. But that's, communism's what he's going for. So again, if they're going to push Mamdani, and if they can control the vote in New York, Mamdani will win. So any you New Yorkers out there, it's time to start making some ripples, folks, because, it's going to get crazy. Criminal referral against Adam Schiff details possible violations in federal law. This criminal referral was filed by the director of the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency, provides further details about the mortgage and tax scandal plaguing Senator Adam Schiff. Let's see. He identifies the array of federal laws that the politicians may have violated by improperly claiming 2 primary residences. The referral sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi by Director William Pulte alleges that Schiff may have violated several statutes, including government wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, and false statements to a financial institution by claiming 2 homes, one in Maryland and the other in California, as primary residences. Based on media reports, Mr. Adam Schiff has in multiple instances falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, impacting payments from 2003 to 2019 for a Potomac, Maryland-based property. This is just to save him money. It's illegal, and normal people aren't allowed to do it. Now, Schiff may be, you're just picking on me, it's political. Dude, you broke the law, right? Now, again, you'll get your day in court if this is what you did and you claim to have 2 primary residences, which you can't do. You can't live in 2 places primarily at the same time. You can live in one and have a secondary that you may spend a lot of time. You might be able to find ways to write that off under those auspices, but you cannot claim 2 primary residences. You just can't, because it's got to be more than half the year, I believe, is what the rule is. So it's got to be more than, by one day, half the year. There's no way you can technically do that in 2 places. So, we'll see what happens. Newly unearthed emails showing sitting judges were quietly engaged with climate activists via a private listserv, sharing talking points, updates, and peer mentoring. Serious judicial ethics questions are now looming. So they're going to be digging into this. Senator Cruz is digging into this, which is good. He was a former judge. Kind of like to see that. So we'll see where that gets us. Rep. James Comer posted this: the third witness in our investigation into the cover-up of President Biden's cognitive decline and unauthorized executive actions pleaded the Fifth Amendment today. There is now a pattern of key Biden confidants I guess is how you should say that, seeking to shield themselves from criminal liability for this potential conspiracy. Annie Tomasini, former assistant to the president and deputy director of the Oval Office operations, pleaded the Fifth when asked if Joe Biden, a member of his family, or anyone at the White House instructed her to lie regarding his health at any time. Now, we understand they take the Fifth because they would be essentially incriminating themselves to something that's illegal. Now, it's not necessarily saying that it's true, but it's kind of saying it's true. It's mostly saying it's true. You can't use it necessarily in a court of law to prove that, but it says that, right? And that's some of the stuff they were saying about Trump when they were trying to get him to get him to admit things too in office, by the way, especially stuff that would be incriminating. And I don't know in his case. I know there was stuff that he did as a president, and so he should have been, protected. But whatever. some of the people that were under him, they certainly pled the fifth. So if President Biden or anyone in the White House, let's see, classified documents. Oh, here, yeah, sorry. She also pleaded fifth when asked if she ever advised President Biden on the handling of classified documents found in his garage. If President Biden or anyone in the White House instructed her to conceal or destroy classified material found at the president's home or office, pleaded the fifth on that. And if she ever conspired with anyone in the White House to hide information regarding the Biden's family business dealings. Took the fifth on that. It's unbelievable that Ms. Tomasini and others refused to answer basic questions about President Biden's fitness to serve. It's apparent they would rather hide key information to protect themselves and Joe Biden than be truthful with the American people about this historic scandal. There needs to be transparency and accountability, and we will continue to pursue the truth and examine options to get the answers we need. Hopefully we do. VOA employee charged for alleged death threats against Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's not alleged that way. He was allegedly going to kill her. He made multiple threats. Seth Jason, 64-year-old resident of Edgewater, Maryland, was arrested on Thursday after being indicted on multiple federal charges. Jason is accused of making death threats against Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, her family, and her staff over the course of more than a year. They date back to October of 2023 into January of this year, threatening to assault and kill her family. A number of different examples of that. Well, he's been arrested. So that's, again, how that works and how that probably should work. Oops, I should probably turn the camera on. Otherwise, it's pointless for me to stare at the camera. Oh, and I'm going to turn it off here in a second anyways. Well, go figure. But here we've got, I always forget his name. What is his name? It's right in front of me. Can't see it. I forget his name. He's a dude for like Louisiana or whatever the hell. It's pretty powerful how he is going after finding the missing children. I'm so bummed I can't remember his name. But, yeah, this is very, very cool. Clay Higgins, there it is. I knew it was somewhere on here. Yeah, Rep. Clay Higgins. Good guy. I like him. Talks a little too slow for me, but I like this dude. Here's him talking about how they're finding the kids, though, and getting them out of this child trafficking ring, essentially, that the Biden administration or the deep state administrations going back a ways has been doing for quite some time. Certainly Obama was super bad. Check out Clay Higgins.
And much to the chagrin of a whole abhorrent industry of child trafficking that prospered from the open border policies of the Biden administration for 4 years, 2021, 22, 23, and 24. Much to the chagrin of these people that made bank, man. We're coming after them. And this executive branch is building criminal files. So I hope they're watching, and I hope they're frightened, and I hope they're getting their affairs in order, hiring their liberal attorneys to defend them, starting to shuffle their money around. We'll find it. Mr. Howell, are you aware that ongoing right now in our country, if DHS, ICE, FBI, local and state law enforcement agencies working on classified operations to locate, find, and rescue trafficked, tender age, mostly girls. I'm talking about girls under 14 and younger across the country that were trafficked into our country in 2021, 22, 23, and 24. Are you aware that those operations are ongoing?
Yes, sir. They're trying to find the children the Biden administration lost.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Ms. Hopper, are you aware?
I am.
Mr. Rosas?
Correct. I'm aware.
Thank you. Would you be surprised? And according to my research, which will very soon be revealed next week, they've rescued so far 35,000 tender age kids. How you like that? Now, according to Ms. Hopper's research, which I find fascinating, and everybody up here should, 70% of the documentation turned in by so-called sponsors, which were lined up by who? The NGOs. Through who? Primarily HHS. There's a pipeline, man. We fed a pipeline of tender age children into sex trafficking and slave labor into our country. We're finding these kids. We're tracking this fraudulent documents. You're right, Ms. Hopper. My research showed a little bit less, 65%. You said 70%. I'll go with 70. So be advised. Be advised. We are building out case files, criminal case files. We're interviewing these 35,000 kids, and we're finding out exactly what the hell happened, how they ended up in the nightmare where they were, and we're rescuing more. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. We're going to identify these children. We're locating these children. We're rescuing these children. And we're building out criminal files based upon the testimony of these young teenagers and the documentation of fraudulent vetting. And many of these NGO employees are going to find themselves wearing orange, be their new favorite color. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the indulgement. I yield.
And you got to think too, all these USAID funding and a lot of this money was going to all that stuff, and it's now being shut down, right? So this is huge. Trump signals he may designate organizers, financial backers of violent ICE protests as terrorists. He said this, that if violent immigration and customs enforcement riots happening across the country are discovered to have central organizers or professional backers, he would designate them foreign or domestic terror organizations, similar to what he did with the Mexican cartels back in February. He said, I would do that, and in a minute. So yeah, we're looking at an escalation against the deep state. It's about to close in tight around them. They're running out of time with Powell. They are trying to hide their money. It's one of the main reasons why, like, crypto, Bitcoin specifically, is so high right now, is a lot of these bastards are pumping into crypto. Now, one of the problems, we're going to get to it in a sec, or a little bit, is when they know something's about to happen, they're going to move gobs of money. And so it'll be interesting to see where they think they can go and if they can get this done before the next big thing happens. Again, it'll be interesting how this plays out. There's a lot of components, a lot of pieces on this chess board, if you will. A legal immigrant has been accused of faking an ICE kidnapping to solicit donations. It's kind of funny how essentially she created her own future. She was falsely claiming that she had been kidnapped by the federal immigration agents, and she was raising money to help deal with that. Problem was, she was not actually kidnapped in fact, she wasn't even in jail. She was hiding from the public. Her family was collecting the money, and that's fraud. And so now she's going to be deported. That's pretty awesome. So yes, she created the future that she was after. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt has announced that President Trump is completely opposed to the idea of giving any sort of amnesty, but she does it in a weird way because she's asked kind of a different question, and I like her answer, and she still sort of answers it even at the end. Check it out.
I have two questions for you.
Sure.
First, on Congress. Congresswoman Salazar introduced legislation that would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. 10 Republicans signed on to what she's calling the Dignity Act. I'm curious what the White House's position is on the legislation and if the president would veto this bill if it made it to its desk.
From my understanding, the White House nor the president has actually read through this legislation. We've been focused on, of course, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which passed, which is another historic accomplishment of this president in record time. The Genius Act this week, the rescissions package, that's been the focus of the White House. But the president has made it very clear he will not support amnesty for illegal aliens in any way.
I want to give you a chance to respond to the CEO of NPR. I have two questions.
Yeah, no amnesty at all, period. End of story. That's all she wrote. Trump has been diagnosed with a chronic venous insufficiency after swelling had been noticed. Might as well get in front of this as well. I'm only going to play about a minute of this. You might want me to play more, but I don't think there's any reason to. But it's ABC that reported this.
President Trump, his medical condition, and the new diagnosis. The White House coming forward tonight after growing concern over images online and elsewhere that showed the president with swelling in his legs and bruising in his hands. Tonight, a memo from the physician to the president saying tests revealed chronic venous insufficiency, referencing the veins in his legs, calling it a, quote, benign and common condition often found in people over 70. Doctors telling us tonight it's a condition where there isn't adequate blood flow in the veins in the legs, which can cause swelling. It can also affect the arms, but we're told most often it's the legs. As for the bruising on the president's hands, the White House doctor says it comes from, quote, frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which the doctor notes is taken as part of the president's cardiovascular prevention regimen. Tonight, the White House insisting the president is in excellent health. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce with the images that caused alarm.
And Venus was his name. God. No, not there? Okay. She's got it. No, okay. Secretary Leavitt, we'll say it like that. She's got more to say regarding the Epstein file hoax, so we're going to get into that fun little bit of fun. The Democrats suddenly wanted transparency on the Epstein files, so anyway, we'll let her start this whole charade. Check it out.
Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that bill is now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreign leader, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
And again, if they had anything back in the past before the election against Trump, like what they're claiming they have now, they would have already released it. Please. This is ridiculous. Donald Trump, truth this out. If there was a smoking gun on Epstein, why didn't the Dems, who controlled the files for 4 years and had Garland and Comey in charge, use it? Because they had nothing. Donald Trump, truth this out. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. Attorney General Pam Bondi responded, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. It's happening. Now, what came out today? The Wall Street Journal. Weird birthday letter, apparently, that Trump wrote to Epstein, typed to Epstein 22 years ago. On top of typing this, he also drew, I guess, some pictures around it, and there was a stick figure with boobies and supposedly pubic hair and blah, 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 blah. And then they had this weird, voiceover, the way you're supposed to read it, like they're having a conversation. Again, I don't really care what's in it. You guys might. I don't want to read it. You got enough stuff to talk about, but... Okay, so that he supposedly is their buddies, they're enigmatic people, yay, right? Yay, us, me and Epstein will rule the world. Not quite saying that, but might as well have. Donald Trump, truth this out. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam, that he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did. And now I'm going to sue his ass off, and that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Also, Trump truthed out. I look forward to getting Rupert Murdoch to testify in my lawsuit against him and his pile of garbage newspaper, the Wall Street Journal. That will be an interesting experience. Now, the Rules Committee members who were in the hearing today for over 2 hours reportedly emerged with this Epstein resolution this evening. Now, it's interesting. It's like we are going to release all the files, right? Not later than 30 days, yada, yada, about Ghislaine Maxwell and all the stuff, right? Okay. What's kind of fun is there's prohibited grounds for withholding. So embarrassment, stuff like reputational harm, those are not accepted. Permitted withholdings, though, if the Attorney General withholds or redacts portions because they have identifiable information, depicts child pornography, would jeopardize an active federal investigation. Now, I still think there's a very strong chance that there's a number of investigations that are actively occurring. This is a big part of what I think is going to limit the amount of stuff that's actually shared. The grand jury testimony should be okay because that's what led forward to, I think, the trial ultimately. So that'll be interesting how this all comes out. But again, if it's involved in any sort of trial currently, whether it's tied up because the deep state tied it up or whether it's tied up because the good guys are doing something, either way, it's not going to be able to be shown. Period. End of story. Like it, don't like it, doesn't freaking matter. But that's happening, and that's kind of interesting. The Epstein case, follow the money. Democratic Senator Ron Wyden, he's a Democrat. I mean, he's from Oregon, too. He has been digging into this for a while. He now feels motivated to bring forward the records, but it's ultimately records against Epstein, the way he was moving money around, the way there were suspicious activity reports, and nobody did a damn thing about it. Nobody. Not prior to him getting busted in 2019. Then all of a sudden, we finally find out all this stuff. Large amounts of money, like 1.5 billion plus. Yeah, huge amount of transactions. 4 big banks flagged these transactions. They'd seen this all over the place, yet they let it happen. Why? It's the deep state. The deep state was using Epstein. Now, what records they have, Epstein probably didn't keep them because they're not stupid. You push the records to a place that nobody knows about, doesn't exist, whatever. That's where the records go. And that's where they're held. Most likely under that Lake Geneva in Switzerland, where supposedly the Rothschilds, and there's a whole big thing underground there. There's one of the threats that Ben Fulford frequently talks about, how the good guys, the white hats, are going to threaten to nuke that. We'll see if that ever actually happens. That would be messed up. So we'll see how these things continue. It is an interesting point in time. Here's another very interesting story when you think about the deep state and how they roll. But apparently, this dude, District Attorney Alvin Bragg, we know him, don't we? The way that they investigated the Luigi Mangione case, which they had a pretty cut and dry case. Apparently, this douchehole, Alvin Bragg, keep forgetting his name. He went to this guy's doctor and Mangione's doctors and got all of their records, threatened them with sanctions, essentially, or that they'd be busted for breaking a subpoena. They didn't actually have a subpoena. He lied. They never told the client's lawyers that they are getting this information. They lied. And I don't know if it was one of the key cases, but they're saying this literally could cause a mistrial because of Alvin Bragg. Intentionally there. Why did they let Mangione kill the CEO guy? And many said the CEO guy was coming clean with some records that they didn't want him to come clean with. I think this was wet work, most likely. And the deep state intentionally made sure he would get off. Remember, he's rich family too. It's the way the game's played, guys. We're kind of seeing it. We're calling it out while it's happening. It actually probably mess up this case. We had a clear case. We had him on camera shooting the dude multiple times. Fired the crap weapon multiple times. China's going to sentence fentanyl traffickers to death, Trump tells us. This is one of the key things that had to happen with China in order for us to loosen our relationship with them. They had to take a stance on trafficking or fentanyl. If China's actually said this, that's about as solid a thing as you could probably do, right? I'm like, all right, we'll kill anybody that deals fentanyl. Is that cool, Trump? And it's like, I can't ask you to do more than that. That's pretty permanent. That should put a stop to it. Now, whether or not they actually catch anybody will be another good story. We'll get to that when that happens, but we're getting there. So California is now suing the Trump administration, which I think is freaking awesome. I love it because Trump killed the stupid high-speed rail. It's way behind schedule, way over budget, hasn't done any of the stuff it was supposed to have already done 5 years ago. 5 years ago. When this gets up to the upper courts, and I'm sure the lower court, wherever they filed this, because they probably judge shopped, is going to tell the Trump administration he has to give them the money. They're going to appeal it, so it won't matter. They're not going to give the money. And then the appellate court probably will shoot it down because the appellate court that actually exists in California is reasonably fair. So, and even if not, it'll go to the Supreme Court and it won't matter. This project is, California has not done what it said it would do. It's broken its agreement. And you don't just continue to flood money. This, again, has been one of the ways California has been budgeting stuff in a messed up way. They're taking part of the money of the funds that have been given by the federal government for the high-speed railway, and they're using it for other things. California's budget deficit just got even worse, which is awesome. It's going to suck for our state for, a year or two, but it's got to get bad enough so we realize we got to do something about it. And it seems that is exactly what we're heading towards right now. So that's huge. I look forward to seeing that one play out. That's going to be a blast. And again, I'm sure the first judge is going to put an injunction or try to force the Trump administration to give the money to California. Whatever. Trump's latest executive order creates a new classification of federal employees, essentially created a part-time, non-career-based Schedule G classification, essentially is what it is. It's essentially part-time. They can be hired and fired at will, certainly hired and fired by the administration. They are not permanent, lifelong employees. These are not permanent, lifelong jobs. These are temporary, essentially, jobs. They could last months to years, but really it's assumed that once the presidency ends, that these will no longer continue in the forward direction. So that's a big part of how that is supposed to work out. That's kind of cool. House passes historic cryptocurrency legislation, sending the Genius Act to the president's desk. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's supposed to be based off of how the stable coin is related to the dollar, and it's supposed to kind of establish a regulatory framework for stable coin, which should help because a lot of people are trying to use that as a benchmark or as a helper or stabilizer, if you will, for some of the other cryptos. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out. Trump truthed this out. House approves $9 billion deal, cuts package, including atrocious NPR and public broadcasting where billions of dollars a year were wasted. Republicans have tried doing this for 40 years and failed, but no more. That's pretty awesome. Today at 2:30, which is, I think, in about 25 minutes, he's going to be signing this into law. This is pretty fantastic. Clawed back $9 billion. Finally, this is a big, big, big deal. This also gets rid of NPR and public broadcasting system, PBS. Done. No more Sesame Street in Afghanistan or whatever the shit we were doing with that money. That's history. It's fantastic is what it is. Import data shows foreign producers, not Americans, are bearing the brunt of tariffs. Tariffs have not been the boogie monster that everyone said it was. They said it was the boogie monster the first Trump term, and it wasn't then, but it wasn't nearly as prevalent as it is now. Tariffs are a big deal, and this is the structuring that is going to keep us from faltering or falling hard when the world collapse happens. It's not just our Federal Reserve. It's not just our stock market. The entire world is going to get screwed through this process. We are actually going into it very well prepared. China's getting just yanked right now. Germany and France are starting to realize, shit, we got a problem. Canary in the coal mine died a while ago. So we are miles ahead of everybody. We still have to have something that causes us to deal with the Fed appropriately, but nonetheless, we are moving in the right direction. Our GDP has grown. It's grown 0.2 more than it was supposed to, which is freaking awesome. So a lot of what they've been telling us is certainly not happening. Trump is taking care of business. I love it. He truthed this out. Too late and the Fed are choking out the housing market with their high rates, making it difficult for people, especially the young, to buy a house. He is truly one of the worst appointments, one of my worst appointments. He's even accepting his part of this. Sleepy Joe saw how bad he was and reappointed him anyway, and the Fed board has done nothing to stop this numbskull from hurting so many people. In many ways, the board is equally to blame. The USA is rocking. There is very low inflation, and we deserve to be at 1%, saving $1 trillion a year on interest costs. I can't tell you how dumb too late is. So bad for our country and the board. He's making a case against the board and the Fed chair, which is essentially the Fed. Now, Waddle Saban's been talking a crap ton about this. Two places, there's two big points that he keeps making. I've watched him on a few different shows, and these are 2 points that he keeps making. You probably already heard them. But he put a fence around the White House, Trump, and he put a fence around the Treasury. The only 2 places he put fences. And that's somewhat, they're saying, symbolic, like we're protecting these 2 places from the scum that exists inside of D.C. You were no longer able to take that back from us. And I feel like there's another thing he was talking about. Maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't. But this taking out the Fed's a big part of what. The Fed's licensed was, I guess, originally in the Philippines. Didn't know that, but it's now Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is where the Fed Reserve is licensed out of, or whatever. It's not federal. He keeps saying it's as federal as Federal Express is. Federal Express is not a federal thing. It's got the word federal in it. Why don't we assume that there are our mail service? They're not. Nor is the Federal Reserve. It is a private organization. And every time they make a dollar, print a dollar, it creates a bond. We owe $1 plus interest on that bond. That's how it works. It's a debt instrument. It puts us in debt immediately the second we print them. Why? Why do we let the central bank manage this? We didn't have that problem when we had a currency backed by precious metals, which, by the way, I've actually got a couple of the silver certificate bills still. Those things are worth some coin. Especially nowadays, it's supposed to be worth that much in silver from back in those days. Interesting what that might be nowadays. All said, things are changing, and we are putting an end to the Fed. $2.8 trillion in OPEX. It's like a bunch of this options stuff has been happening, and it's kind of a trip how options work. I'm not real good at explaining it. I will give it a small attempt, but options essentially, the simple part is there's a bunch of money in options that expire today. They're expecting the stock market to have a reaction to that. It's kind of a weird thing. Now, options essentially are betting on the stock market. There's what's called a put and a call. And again, I don't want to try to, it's kind of like backwards when it comes to when you buy a put versus betting on a put. And there's 4 different kinds of buyers rather than 2 when it comes to stocks. You're either a seller or a buyer. But now you can either be a buyer of a put or a seller of a put, a buyer of a call or a seller of a call. Again, extraordinarily difficult to understand. I did read something that kind of helped me get a small understanding of it. But ultimately, there is what they call, I think it's the strike number. Is that what they call it? If I can find that word. Robinhood was a big part of this, by the way. And this was one of the reasons why they hated the fact that they were the GameStop stuff, because they kept wanting to short that stock. And all the people that were on Robinhood were buying it and causing the price to go up, which was killing all the people trying to do the short. It just destroyed them. So all these things depend on, it's all the jargon too. The strike number, I want to say it's what it's called. Strike price. Yeah, the strike price. And I'll edit out that pause there. But so what you do when you set or write an option is you set a strike price. That's this price that it has to get to in order for this deal to mature properly. And you're betting that it's going to, or you're betting it won't. It's kind of how it plays out. And you can come at that from a few different angles. If it doesn't play out right, the person that sold it gets the premium and you don't get anything. So you just lose a little bit of money. Otherwise, you might actually get a hold of the stock for what is less than the value, or you end up making essentially a bit of a better deal. You got something that's worth more than you paid for it, essentially. So again, it's complex how it all plays out, but it's essentially gambling, long story short. And there's a lot, 2.8 trillion, that's coming due today on this gamble. So whether that is significant, I don't know. It seems like a lot of money to me. And people do it for a lot of different ways. They're hedging things. Again, it gets redonkulously confusing. Chevron cleared a final hurdle to Hess megadeal after winning Exxon arbitration. Now, I want to point this out because this is an interesting story in and of itself. Sure, it's going to allow a giant oil company to become even gianter. But the stocks of these two companies were hugely affected by this. Shares of Chevron and Hess climbed in pre-market trading in New York after the International Chamber of Commerce in Paris rejected ExxonMobil's attempt to block Chevron's $53 billion deal. When did the International Chamber of Commerce in Paris know that they were going to reject this? Then, how many people did they contact and say, hey, we're about to reject this? Then how many people then acted on stock tips that they were just given because they knew this was going to happen? Was Nancy Pelosi probably a part of that? Just as an example. Now, how many of you guys in your mutual funds probably just didn't get a benefit from this necessarily, or maybe even on the Chevron side of it, right? Or Exxon side, sorry, because it would have helped Exxon if this wouldn't have happened. So again, it's one of those, the way the game is played against us always. We're the last to find out. Crypto, same thing. Got a lot of these criminals, a lot of these countries that have dumped a bunch of money in crypto. It's why crypto, Bitcoin specifically, has gotten so expensive, so high. And all the people that are like, oh, it's such a good investment. It is, until one of these huge players pulls their funds out. They're just parking the money there because they know they're going to make a bunch of money on it. Every time they put a bunch of money in, the price goes up. Every time the price goes up, a bunch more people buy it way late, but buy it anyways. Usually the uninformed. And there's a crap ton of people that, like, you know, Cliff Hyde, I know he got in way early. Like, you know, like probably when it was under 1,000. Dude's like, you know, multiple millionaire because of it. So still, it's pretty powerful if you got in early enough and all that stuff. But at the same time, most people, most regular people aren't. And most regular people are going to be the second group of people or third to get out of something. The first group will be all the special people that know about stuff before it happens. So stock markets, I don't know, they were down a little bit. Let's see if when they actually refresh. So they're still down a little bit. Gold's up. Silver was up too, I believe. Yeah, silver's still up a little bit. That's pretty cool. I picked up a little more silver myself because I think it's a good one to own. It's going to multiply up pretty nice. I just want to remind you guys, drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. The uncertainty of what's going on, the uncertainty of who's going to find out beforehand, and the uncertainty of the fact that the Fed needs to be destroyed, it just doesn't make stocks a great place to be. A great place to protect your wealth and hold the buying power you currently have is through precious metals. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com, and you're going to find that you're going to have the opportunity to get up to 10% of free silver. When you do that, I'm trying to do two things at once. Apologize, give me a sec, and then I'll be okay. When you get that free silver, that's what, like I said, it's something that's, one, the price is going to go up at least another $10 within a short period of time, months. And two, there's a weird, like, evaluation that's probably going to double or triple at some point because the truth's going to come out. Paper contracts are going to go away. A lot of things are going to happen. It's a very smart place to put your wealth. It'll protect it through the bump in the night that we've got. The new currency is going to be asset backed. You're already going to have assets. You're going to be ready to go. It's the perfect way to get out of the nasty system before the time comes and the hammer falls. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that 401k, get out of that IRA, get into a precious metals backed IRA, and you will be thankful for it. You're going to get some cool freebies. Like I said, it's tax free, it's penalty free. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. You're going to get this awesome gold and silver kit, and you're just going to get a wonderful experience knowing, and the customer service too, by the way, at Goldco is bar none. It's incredible. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com, and let's see if we can protect that wealth before it's too late. RFK Jr. announces the Trump administration has rejected U.S. participation in the World Health Organization's pandemic response measures, stating that America will not comply. Quote, nations who accept the new regulations are citing over their power in health emergencies, signing their power over health emergencies to unelected international organizations that could order lockdowns. The new regulations employ extremely broad language that gives the WHO unprecedented power. That opens the door to the kind of narrative management and propaganda and censorship that we saw during the COVID pandemic. We are not going to be a part of that. This is one of the many things that everyone said, we're going to sign this, Biden's going to get us into it. No, we're not getting into it. That is for sure. Goodbye EU the EU is going to get destroyed. The EU will not survive the next couple of years, unquestionable. France's budget battle exposes the EU's centralist overreach. France is super pissed. They're having to pay more and more funds. They don't have more and more funds to pay. They're actually going through a shrinking of their economy right now, and it is destroying them. And Ursula von der Leyen, she just did a 2 trillion euro bill for the European Union, not for the countries that have to manage their own stuff still internally. But then on top of that, now they got to give, as a group, 2 trillion euro to this unelected body. And they're freaking out about it. Germany's freaking out about it. Unacceptable. Von der Leyen's 2 trillion euro budget blasted by Germany because they can't afford it either. They're just like, this is insane. No. Germany, as EU's biggest contributor, would be on the hook for about a quarter of that spending. And France for probably, probably 20% of that spending. Maybe a little less than that, 18% of it still. These are the two biggest countries. Again, England's got to be going, oh, thank God we got out of that. Thank God. EU rolls out tougher sanctions on Russia now, which is just going to cause Russia to cuddle up with China and with India even more. This dark fleet, which they're trying to crack down on, just going to make energy prices more expensive in Europe. Europe's already getting slammed. They can't buy Russian oil anymore. They're getting slammed because they've capped it, and Russia's not going to sell it to you for that cap. Under market price? No. Thank you. Unless they're desperate, but I don't think Russia will. I think they're able to off enough of their oil to other parts of the world. Maybe illegally, as far as the EU deep state goes. NATO warns of an enduring threat, Russia aligning with China on the Taiwan invasion. Russia's aligning with China. China's aligning with Russia. China's aligning with Iran. We're going to talk about that in a second. None of these things are necessarily helpful to what we're trying to accomplish here in this country and the world, for that matter. Now, just a question on this, and we don't know for sure. According to Trump, Ukraine was going to receive 17 Patriot systems. That's a statement that immediately raised questions, certainly in Russia. Most importantly, it's unclear exactly what the administration considers a system. If he means 17 launchers, that would translate into just 3 or 4 full batteries, since each battery includes a radar, command post, and between 4 and 8 launchers. This would not represent a dramatic escalation. But if they're talking about 17 full batteries, that's insane. That's a bunch. And I don't think there's any chance in hell that's actually what we're actually giving them. But that's a good question. And 17, of course, is a funny number nonetheless. Now, all of a sudden, Ukraine wants to step up peace talks with Russia. So it's not 17 full batteries likely. Probably less than that. And Ukraine realizes, shit, by the time we set these things up, they're probably going to get destroyed. So Moscow's like, yeah, we'll talk. That's cool. Let's chit-chat. Let's have our third meeting. So it looks like that might happen. I think their third is what we're up to. Hopefully, they're able to make some accomplishments there. China backs Iran against the U.S. and Israel. This is a big move and kind of interesting how all of this is playing out right now. There's some weird shifting going on in this part of the world. Obviously, China trying to muscle in makes some sense. There's some questions as to why Iran would fear a Syria-Azerbaijan axis. Now, Syria is being attacked by Israel because of this Druze group who's supposedly anti the current administration in Syria. But the current administration in Syria looks like they're cuddling up with Azerbaijan, which is creating kind of an anti-Iran sort of faction. So again, as I said yesterday, I think this Druze group, I don't like the idea of anyone being killed, but I think this Druze group is likely like some of the old like ISIS type stuff. And I think Israel is in the wrong side right now. In fact, Netanyahu regrets there's been 2, I think, attacks. Another Israeli strike on a church in Gaza, which killed 3 people and injured at least 6 others. This is really bad. Hundreds of Palestinians were sheltering inside the Holy Family Catholic Church when the church roof was hit around 10:10 a.m. local. Shrapnel and debris came down through the roof and went flying, killing and wounding Christians inside. Well, and non-Christians. I mean, again, there's Palestinians that are hiding in there as well. But hopefully, whatever the case is, it's pretty messed up. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all, Israel. Other ways you can clear out a church, I think. But the bomb is kind of strange. Israeli leader calls for Syrian president's assassination. This is really messed up as well. Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has called for Israel to eliminate Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara following the latest escalation. That's calling for the leader to be killed. Again, they were trying to kill Khomeini, and here they are trying to kill another leader supposedly. Israel is way, way, way out in left field right now, and it's very, very strange how this is playing out. It's not looking good for them. And then we've got this other weird dilemma going on. Turkey bought some of our F-35 fighters, right? I don't know how many of them. There are like 10 of them or something like that. Bought a number of the 6 completed Lockheeds that they've bought so far. And they are being blocked by Chairman Jim Risch. He's a Republican from Idaho. And he's basically saying, no, we're not giving you these planes. Not now, I'm blocking them. So you can pay for them. You can buy them. We don't have to give them to you, apparently. Now, I don't know if they're going to get a refund or how that's going to work out. But the reasoning is pretty good. Turkey bought S-400 air defense systems. Our F-35 was essentially built to evade S-400 air systems. Using them together would give Russia and China such extensive information that we can't. I'm sure the S-400s have seen F-35s in action, but they've not been able to just study them from different angles, from different ways, try to see if they can get programming to actually find different ways to hunt them down, if you will. So it is a very interesting move that Turkey's doing, and they're not about to get rid of their S-400 systems, and I don't think we're probably going to give them these F-35s. I don't know. Again, there's 6 of them, but I'll be curious to see where this goes from here. But yeah, they can't study those that closely. That's just not going to be cool. Let's go ahead and do it real quick, My Pillow, guys. Again, Mike Lindell's going through a lot. If you guys want to donate, it is called, do I have that nearby? There's so many things. There it is. MyPillowTrial.com. MyPillowTrial.com. Again, it's just a great way to try to help out if you can with all the legal stuff. He's actually fighting Dominion, which is a big deal. Again, these awesome deals are probably going to last longer than they were intended to initially. Good for you. Take advantage of them. The slippers for sure. $39.98. Trust me, they're never going to be this cheap for the rest of the year, or even ever next year probably. $39.98 is an insanely good deal. They thought we were going to meet this Wednesday, so I think they put this stuff on there specifically for you guys because of the OTF crowd. So, of course, you want to go to mypillow.com/OTF. Get these sweet, sweet deals that they put out for you. Giza sheets, any size, any color, you are going to get you're going to get these sheets at $49.98. Initially, the king size was $130. It was $67.98 for the twins, and then obviously everything in between. So we've got a situation here where you can get the finest high thread count sheets that they actually have in My Pillow land. I don't know how it works there in the factory. These are the best dang sheets they got. They're awesome. $49.99 or $98. Sorry, even cheaper. 1 penny cheaper. Again, the slippers. You cannot get a better deal. You will not get a better deal. Think Christmas. And this My Slipper Protector. If you guys like to wear these outside, it's $5. You can't go wrong, but it actually might work on some other things. You got kids and a leather couch. You probably want to spray that on that leather couch. It'll help you a little bit when it gets kitted on. Got the best towels you'll ever see, too. Any of the towels. Beach towels, they're bath towels, they're kitchen towels. They're the best towels ever. They're just soft. They absorb like no other towel I've ever used. They are awesome. Ladies, if you've never used one and you like to wrap your hair after a shower, the first time you do, it's going to dry your hair way more than you're used to. And you'll be pissed at first because you're going to have to re-wet your hair or do whatever you got to do. But it'll dry your hair way more than you're used to. That's how good these towels are. They're just freaking good. I don't know. It's something weird. I've had nicer towels that cost more. They didn't work as well. They didn't absorb as well. They felt different. They felt kind of almost slimy. Almost like I somehow got a lot of fabric softener on them. You ever feel that? Like it's got that weird coating, that film on it? It's like, I don't know what that is, but it's weird. That's how like good towels feel, but they're not good. These don't have that sickening coating on them. Also, the best energy drink, you should try it. 3-pack for free, or if not, you can get 12 packs and save 30%. It's a great energy drink. No calories, 10 milligrams of salt. And it's a lot of energy. It's really good. And it's phenomenally flavored. Like, it is so much flavor. It's weird. They're breaking some law, I think. And the best pillow ever. You got the My Cross thing. Hit the clearance event. They've got pajamas or panjamas, as my girlfriend calls them. All sorts of incredible stuff. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. And get that best night of sleep you have ever had. Hopefully you can. It is, fantastic products. Fantastic. All the way around the board. We got, I don't know, weird, sad story maybe. Do you guys remember the dude that jumped out of the edge of space? Felix, what's his face? When he was, where was he? Remember when he jumped out of the thing? And they were using a very fisheye lens, by the way, just to give credit. It was a very fisheye lens. Where they're at, I don't think Earth is supposed to look like that unless you're like 500,000 feet up or something. So anyway, whatever the case was, he said it was very cool. This dude, he died hang gliding. Apparently had a heart attack while flying and crash landed into a swimming pool full of children. He was pronounced dead at the scene. So, yeah, he passed away in a weird kind of way, but doing what he loved doing, I guess. Meta board Zuckerberg, they have settled $8 billion Facebook privacy lawsuit. The board of directors of Meta Platform Inc. reached a settlement on Thursday to close a shareholder lawsuit that accused Facebook executives of failing to prevent massive user data breaches that cost the company billions. Terms of the settlement were not immediately disclosed, but obviously they're going to give all the people money. That's always good. Caitlin Clark is going to miss the All-Star games because of this growing injury she's got. I thought she'd get injured again. I'm like, man, this chick's ruined if she keeps getting injured all the time. But yeah, this injury is just not healing enough, and she doesn't want to make it worse, frankly. And so she's not going to be playing for all. I know a lot of you guys have probably been following some of that story. And finally, some interestingly good news, I think. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham are possibly sparking a Fleetwood Mac reunion. There's some rumors floating around anyway. We'll see. That'd be pretty rad. They probably all could use a little more money if they think they could pull off major cities where they for sure could sell out shows. That'd be fun to see them again. I saw the dance tour. It was a really good tour. And then I saw the Eagles about that same time too, which was fan-friggin-tastic. We'll see if they come out. I love you guys. I got a bitchin' music show today. I hope you guys join me live at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. I will be doing, it's inspired by Golden Years. It's just a bunch of kind of groovy music and that sort of genre. It's, softer rock, sort of pop. I don't know, but it's, I'd probably put it in the late 70s, early 80s, kind of that area. There's a few songs in there. Eddie Money song, I think it was, or Eddie Rabbit song, which I hadn't heard in a long time, was going to be there, and that was pretty freaking cool. I don't want to give away any of the actual music, assuming I can even find it at this point. There it is. Yes. I even have a Boston song that we're going to be kicking things off with. Just, again, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a good, groovy vibe of music. I think you guys will definitely dig it, so please join us for that. All said, a lot happening in the world, and obviously the deep state's not about to give up, and nor should we expect them to. We're winning this. We're winning it hardcore. Keep making the ripples, guys. You're making a huge difference in the world. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.